Squats are cool, deadlifts are cool. I guess like hang cleans and Olympic lifts are cool, but like the most coolerest thing you can possibly do in the gym is the bench press. Everybody wants a bigger bench. Everybody wants to be putting 3 wheels on if you're stuck at 225 or 4 if you're stuck at 315 or whatever it may be. Bigger benches are really, really cool. And now most people think they know how to get a bigger bench. They know how to get a stronger bench. But what we're going to be going over today are 4 things that you can do and implement into your training to start really pushing the needle and getting the biggest possible bench that you can in the safest way possible. So what we're going to do, let's jump right into it with exercise number 1. So when you're looking to build any exercise, especially with the bench, the first thing you want to do is become technically sound. The variation or type of exercise we're going to do for that is known as a spoto press. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would I do this? First and foremost, the reason that we're doing this is because it makes you conscientious of your positioning, of your ability to stabilize the weight, and your ability to reverse that weight out of a very common sticking point for most people, which, for those who don't know, Eric Spoto was one of the best benchers of all time, and this was his lift, I guess. You pause a couple inches off the chest, stop all motion there, and drive up, right? So you don't want that bar to get it all the way to your chest. You don't want to pause it about halfway like a floor press. It's kind of in between those 2 ranges. So the reason I like this is, like I said before, it works on your technical ability to get into a good position. So I'll demonstrate here. So when you are performing your spoto press, treat it like a competition bench. Unrack that weight, stabilize. You're going to bring it down, hold, stop all motion, and drive it up. Down, stop all motion there, drive it up. It's a great variation that forces you to get into a better position and maintain that tension, that tightness, which results in a bigger bench press over time. That's the technical exercise that focuses on the technique of the lift itself. Now let's go to exercise number 2 that starts to shift the focus onto building more muscle and getting stronger. So after being technically sound, because technique is probably going to be what gives you the biggest and fastest boost to your bench, the second thing we can focus on is just getting bigger and stronger. See, the bench press, more so than most of the other lifts, especially when we're talking about the compound lifts, such as a bench, a squat, or a deadlift, has more to do with your size and the amount of muscle on your body than anything else. If you can increase the muscle on your chest and your shoulders and your arms, your bench is going to go up. That's just the fact of the matter, right? So number 2 for these exercises is actually dumbbells. Dumbbell variations, dumbbell flies, dumbbell presses. Take the time to have a hypertrophy specific block in your programming. Just because you're a powerlifter or you want to compete in powerlifting or you just want to barbell bench press more weight, you need to have a certain chunk of time. It could be 16 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it may be. Focus primarily on hypertrophy and building the muscle of your chest, of your shoulders, and actually we're going to be jumping into this after this, your upper back and your lats as well. But the idea is very simple. Do as many different variations as you can with dumbbells. Floor press, incline, military, standing, kneeling, seated, flat, incline, decline, whatever it may be. The more variation you can have into your program, the more variation you can have in your training sessions and your training blocks, the more of that will help you kind of buffer your body and buffer your ability to hold heavier weights, stabilize heavier weights, and therefore move heavier weights. So spend some time in the free weight area of your local gym or wherever you train. Get a nice pump on because it's going to help your bench in the long term. So on this list so far, we've talked a lot about technique. We've talked a lot about building up the size of the muscle. Now, what we need to do is start focusing on what's stabilizing the muscle. And one of the things that I tell a lot of people that comes through for the train your ass off, or any of the time people come in here, is the best way to get a bigger bench is to be more stable. To be more stable, we need to build the backside of our body, especially the lats, rhomboids, lower traps, anything that can keep those scaps in a good position, because at the end of the day, the more stable we can be in this position here, the more stable we can be in a bench press, the more force that we can exert. So what that looks like is lat pull downs, focusing on the lats. We did a video talking about how to hit your lats from different angles with different exercises. Spend time building your lats, spend time building your rear delts, your triceps, all the stabilizers for the bench press, which are all very, very, very important to not only moving more weight, but to do so in a healthier way where you don't get hurt. See, a lot of the times we spend so much time on pressing that we don't spend as much time on rowing. Now, there is no secret formula. You hear online a lot, people say, oh, 2 pulls to 1 push. I think that's crap. But what I do say is if you have a program that's well-rounded and well-developed, you should be spending a lot of time rowing, pull-aparts, reverse flies, anything that works on the back of your body, because the muscles on the front of the body are the show muscles. The muscles on the back are all the go muscles. And if you want a bigger bench, the bigger and more stable you are in the back side of your body, the more stable you'll be, not BR, that's very strange, you'll be on the bench. So that was exercise number 3. Let's jump into the last one, exercise number 4. All right, guys, last but not least, we're gonna be talking about overload training. What I mean by overload training is performing an exercise with a weight that you normally can't lift on your own, but with the help of hands, reduced range of motion, or any other apparatus that's going to help assist you in that lift, such as a slingshot here. So why do we do overload training? What are the benefits? Well, first and foremost, it's a real confidence builder. When you throw a slingshot on and end up doing 25, 30, 40, 100 pounds more than you're used to, what that does is kind of helps let you feel that weight at the top, because regardless of what you have on the bar, minus reverse bands is a whole different story. But if you're dealing with something like a slingshot or a bench shirt or whatever you want to call it, the really cool thing about it is that you unrack the weight and have to hold it. It still feels heavy at the top and you're still holding all of that weight yourself. What that does, it helps kind of build up that confidence, build up that feeling, because if anybody is competitive, they understand that some days your weight feels very, very light, other days it feels very, very heavy. If you can start training yourself to not be kind of mentally freaked out when a weight starts to feel heavy, you're gonna find more success in the long term of your training. So you have a few options when it comes to overload training. You can do reverse bands, which I have footage of. We can put that in there, of literally hanging bands on the top of a rack. And as you go down, the bands start taking more and more off of the bar. Second thing, you can use a slingshot, which is an apparatus you'll see us using quite a bit in any of the training footage on the weekends, because some of us are more washed up meatheads than others, and they still want to bench heavy and still feel the weight. So treat it like a catapult, right? So you get under the weight, you feel it, and this actually helps you at the bottom of the lift where you're the weakest. The other way of doing this is if you have training partners, and I know a lot of you don't have training partners. By the way, I saw the results of the poll that we put up. Holy cow, shocking. Find some people to train with, it's way more fun. You can use boards, right? 2 boards, 3 boards, something where, again, you feel that weight at the top of that bench and reduce the range of motion. So again, you can start kind of playing around with more, with heavier weight. How often would you do this? We do this a few times per training block, usually closer to a meet. We'll start playing with it a little bit more to get ourselves sort of inoculated to heavier and heavier loads, so that when the day of the meet comes, the weight doesn't feel as heavy and we perform better than what we would have normally. Another cool way of using one of these, especially at the end of a training session, is to use it as a max rep. You can, because what this does, it takes a little bit of the pressure off at the bottom of the lift and helps you really hammer out your triceps, because it's putting less, no, I should say this, rewind. What's happening at the bottom of the lift is it's taking a lot of that tension off, but you still, the farther up you go, the stronger you get, have to lock out with your triceps, right? So using one of these is actually a great way to get tricep specific work, especially at the end of a training session where you're starting to get tired, you're starting to get fatigued, and you may not be able to perform the reps with that full range of motion by yourself. Another way of using these is get yourself a lighter version. I think this is one of the heaviest ones that Mark has, and actually do push-ups with them. Again, it's a great way to kind of just finish off your bench press training for the day, and another great way to get a lot of good volume in with a little bit of assistance. So guys, there you go. There you have it. 4 ways for you to attack your bench press. Get a bigger bench for whatever it is that you have to get that bigger bench for, whether it's competition or just to impress your friends, which I am all about. So guys, thank you very much for checking out this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things. And on behalf of myself and Jacob behind the camera, we'll see you in the next one.